I was almost trying to find this moment in history in which gender became salient. It's almost an impossible question to answer because it's different for different societies and it happens very gradually. So the further back you go into prehistory, one of the places I visited when I was researching the patriarchs was Çatalhöyük, which is this very famous ancient settlement in Anatolia, not very far from where the Turkish earthquakes just recently happened. This is a settlement that's 9,000 years old, so it predates the pyramids in Egypt, it predates Stonehenge, Harappa in India, and it is a very sophisticated settlement. Thousands of people would have lived there. Houses were built kind of on top of each other and back to back, so people would have walked on top of their roofs in order to maneuver. And what we see very clearly is that there weren't huge gender differences in how people lived. So you don't see men and women necessarily doing different work. All the measures we have for gender inequality using archaeological methods show that men and women did practically the same things, ate practically the same things. The size difference between them was slight. And there are so many female figurines from this point in time. So women were not invisible here in these societies. That's as much as we can know because this is pre-writing. We don't have written evidence. But what it does show is that we cannot necessarily project our ideas about gender onto the distant past. If we are going to think about how gender manifested, we have to let go of our stereotypes and just imagine a world in which we are starting from scratch, in which so many different ways of living would be possible. And certainly that's what you see the further back you go, is that people are trying out different ways of life. They're abandoning certain societies. If this community doesn't work for them, they leave and try something else. If anything, over time, over thousands of years, with the development of states and institutions and religions that have become kind of more rigid and widespread, we have ossified, in a way, our social systems. They feel natural to us because they are so rigid and so old. But that doesn't mean that flexibility isn't possible again. We can live life any way we want. But it's only over many thousands of years that we have tricked ourselves into believing that there's only really one way to organize society, and patriarchy seems natural because of that.